Hi, this is Steve Smith. I'm going to talk to you a bit about Remo drum heads. Now, I've been playing Remo drum heads ever since I started playing the drums in the 60s. And I actually was touring with Jean-Luc Ponty in 1976 and 1977, and I scheduled a meeting with Remo Belli, president of Remo, to see if I could become a Remo drumhead endorser. And at that time in the business, I think it was a little more difficult to become an endorser than in later years. And Remo was very nice, and we did have the meeting, but he said, come back and see me in 5 years if you're still around. It's great that you have a gig now, but I'm looking for drummers and endorsers with longevity. So he basically said, come back in 5 years, which I did. So in the meantime, I continued to use Remo drum heads because I love the sound and the feel of the drum heads. And I've been using very much the same configuration ever since. For the most part, I've tended to like the clear ambassador on my toms, on the top and the bottom. And that's what this drum set is set up with, clear ambassadors on the top and the bottom. I always use the coated ambassador on the snare drum, and on this snare drum, which is a 12 by 5-inch snare drum to my left, this has a coated ambassador. Lately, in the last, say, 5 years, I've been using a Fiberskin 3 Diplomat on my main snare drum. And I like the tone that I get. It's a little bit darker tone than the coated ambassador, but it really sounds great with brushes, and that's one of the main reasons I use the Fiberskin 3 Diplomat. And the Diplomat's a very thin drum head, but I like the way that the drum sings with that drum head. And ever since Remo came out with the Power Stroke 3 bass drum heads, I've been using those because they really give a very deep fundamental to the bass drum. So I have a clear Power Stroke 3 on the batter head and the coated Power Stroke 3 on the front head with no hole, just a couple of, just a felt strip on either side for minimal muffling. Now, there are situations where I will use a little bit of muffling. I'll use the Remo Dave Weckl muffler against the batter head, and then just a small hole in the front head for certain musical situations. And so I vary it just depending on what the music requires. 5 years later, I went back and saw Remo Belli and signed on as a full-time endorser and been with him ever since, and look forward to many more years as a Remo endorser.